The first thing that stands out in the Fallout Season 3 trailer is the growing tension between the major factions of the wasteland. Up until now, the world has always felt chaotic, but somewhat balanced, like every group was simply trying to survive another day. But Season 3 looks different. This time it feels like something larger is unfolding, something planned. The trailer hints that several factions are starting to move at the same time, almost as if they know that the wasteland is entering a new phase. And at the center of it all are the vaults, the one place that was supposed to stay untouched by the outside world. For a long time, the vaults represented safety and order. People inside them believed they were the lucky ones, protected from the horrors of the surface. But the events of the previous season already proved that the vaults were never as safe as they seemed. Now, Season 3 appears to be pushing that idea even further. The trailer suggests that whatever secrets were hidden inside those underground communities are beginning to surface, and the consequences might be impossible to control. When a system built on strict rules starts to crack, the people living inside it are forced to face a reality they were never prepared for. What makes this situation even more unsettling is the growing influence of powerful organizations that existed before the bombs fell. These groups have always operated in the shadows, manipulating events and quietly shaping the future of the wasteland. But the trailer hints that they might finally be stepping into the open. If that's true, then the fragile balance between survivors could collapse very quickly. Advanced technology, hidden experiments, and old-world ambitions could suddenly become part of the fight for power. Another detail that the trailer subtly points toward is the idea that control in the wasteland is no longer just about weapons or territory. There are hints that some characters may have access to technology capable of influencing people in ways we've never seen before. If even a small portion of the population can be manipulated or controlled, it could completely change how conflicts play out. Imagine trying to survive in a world where you can't even be sure that the person standing next to you is acting on their own free will. At the same time, the trailer doesn't just focus on large-scale conflict. It also shows that the emotional struggles of the characters will continue to be a major part of the story. Surviving the wasteland is already difficult, but surviving it while holding on to your humanity might be even harder. Many characters have already been pushed to their limits, forced to make decisions that changed who they are forever. Season 3 seems ready to explore what happens after those choices, when people must live with the consequences. The wasteland has always been a place where hope and danger exist side by side. Every time someone believes they've found safety, something unexpected appears to remind them how fragile that safety really is. The Fallout Season 3 trailer captures that feeling perfectly. It shows a world that is constantly shifting, where every victory might lead to a new problem, and every secret that gets uncovered reveals an even bigger mystery. And that's what makes this upcoming season so exciting. It feels like the story is moving towards something massive, something that has been building quietly in the background since the very beginning. The factions are preparing, the secrets are starting to surface, and the people caught in the middle are about to realize that the wasteland they thought they understood might only be a small part of a much bigger plan. One of the most interesting things hinted at in the Fallout Season 3 trailer is how the outside world is beginning to change in ways that nobody expected. The wasteland has always been brutal, unpredictable, and full of danger, but there was still a certain pattern to how things worked. Raiders attacked settlements, small communities struggled to survive, and powerful groups fought over territory. But the trailer suggests that the rules of the wasteland might be shifting. Something new is emerging, and it's forcing everyone to rethink how survival works in this broken world. The biggest clue comes from the growing activity of powerful factions that had been quiet for a long time. For years, many of these organizations were operating in the background, carefully observing and waiting for the right moment to move. Now, it looks like that moment might have finally arrived. The trailer hints that advanced technology from the old world is beginning to resurface again, and in the wasteland, technology can change everything. Even a single piece of pre-war tech can give someone an advantage powerful enough to shift the balance between entire groups. What makes this situation even more intense is the possibility that several factions may be chasing the same goal. The trailer seems to suggest that there is something hidden out there, something valuable enough to make every major player in the wasteland start moving at once. And when different factions begin racing toward the same target, conflict becomes inevitable. Alliances might form, but in the wasteland, alliances rarely last long. Trust is fragile, and survival often forces people to betray the very allies they once depended on. At the center of this growing tension are the characters who have already experienced how cruel the wasteland can be. They are no longer the same people they were when their journey began. Every encounter, every loss, and every difficult decision has slowly reshaped who they are. Season 3 seems ready to explore how those experiences will influence the choices they make next. When someone has seen the worst parts of humanity, it becomes harder to believe that things can ever truly improve. The trailer also hints that some survivors might start questioning the systems that once guided them. For example, people who grew up believing in strict rules and order may now realize that those rules were built on lies or manipulation. Discovering that the world you trusted was never honest with you can be a devastating moment. It forces people to either accept a harsh new reality or desperately try to rebuild the beliefs that once gave them comfort. At the same time, the wasteland itself continues to evolve. New settlements appear while others disappear overnight. Some communities manage to create fragile pockets of stability, but those safe places never stay safe for long. Raiders, mutated creatures, and rival factions are always searching for opportunities, and one mistake can destroy everything a group has worked to build. Season 3 seems ready to show just how difficult it is to maintain hope in a world that constantly tries to crush it. Another interesting detail hinted at in the trailer is the possibility that certain parts of the wasteland may still be hiding secrets from before the bombs fell. Many people believe that the old world is completely gone, but scattered across the ruins are remnants of projects, experiments, and technologies that were never meant to be discovered. If someone manages to unlock those hidden secrets, it could open the door to power that no one in the wasteland is truly prepared to handle. And that's where the tension of the story really starts to build. Because whenever power appears in the wasteland, it attracts the wrong kind of attention. The moment something valuable is discovered, every ambitious leader, every desperate survivor, and every ruthless faction begins moving toward it. The Fallout Season 3 trailer makes it clear that something like this may be about to happen again. A discovery is coming, and when it finally surfaces, it might trigger a chain reaction that spreads across the entire wasteland. The scariest part is that no one truly understands what the consequences will be. Some characters might believe they are trying to save the future, while others may simply be trying to gain control. But in a world like Fallout, even the best intentions can lead to disaster. Season 3 looks ready to explore exactly what happens when people begin chasing power in a place where survival already hangs by a thread. Another major element teased in the Fallout Season 3 trailer is the emotional journey of the characters who have already been through so much. Surviving the wasteland is one thing, but continuing to believe in people after everything you've seen is something else entirely. By the time Season 3 begins, many of the characters are no longer the hopeful individuals they once were. The wasteland has a way of changing people slowly, pushing them into situations where every choice carries consequences that can never be undone. The trailer hints that some characters may finally start questioning whether their original goals even matter anymore. When you spend enough time fighting just to stay alive, your priorities start to shift. What once felt like a clear mission can suddenly become complicated by new responsibilities, new allies, and new threats. In the wasteland, people rarely get the luxury of focusing on a single objective. Survival forces them to constantly adapt, and that means making decisions that might conflict with the values they once believed in. One of the most interesting possibilities for Season 3 is the idea that some characters might start walking very different paths from each other. In the past, certain alliances formed because people needed one another to survive dangerous situations. But as the world grows more complicated, those alliances may begin to crack. Trust is always fragile in the wasteland, and once doubt begins to grow, it becomes incredibly difficult to stop. Even small disagreements can slowly turn into major conflicts when the stakes are high. The trailer also hints that the emotional weight of the past is beginning to catch up with everyone. Every survivor carries memories of loss, betrayal, and regret. At first, those experiences simply become part of the background of daily life. But over time, they start shaping how people see the world. Some characters might become more cautious and guarded, while others might become more ruthless, believing that kindness is a weakness in a world like this. What makes the situation even more intense is that the wasteland rarely gives people time to process those emotions. Just when someone begins to reflect on their past decisions, a new threat appears that demands immediate action. Season 3 seems ready to explore what happens when people who are already emotionally exhausted are forced into even more dangerous situations. The pressure can push individuals toward incredible acts of courage, but it can also drive them toward decisions that permanently change who they are. Another detail the trailer hints at is the possibility of unexpected reunions. In a world as large and unpredictable as the wasteland, people often believe that once they separate, they may never see each other again. But the wasteland also has a strange way of bringing people back together when they least expect it. These reunions can be emotional, hopeful, or even heartbreaking, depending on how much the people involved have changed since the last time they met. The problem is that time in the wasteland doesn't just pass quietly. It transforms people. Someone you once trusted completely might now be a very different person. The experiences they've survived may have hardened them in ways that are difficult to recognize. Season 3 could explore the emotional tension that comes from reconnecting with someone who once meant everything to you, but now carries the scars of a completely different journey. At the same time, the trailer suggests that some characters might begin searching for something deeper than just survival. Living day to day in a world like this eventually makes people question what the future could look like. Is it possible to rebuild anything meaningful in the wasteland? Or will every attempt at creating stability eventually collapse? That question seems to sit quietly in the background of everything the trailer shows. Because the truth is, the wasteland has always been more than just a dangerous place. It's a test of what people are willing to become in order to survive. Some characters will fight to hold on to their humanity, no matter how difficult things become. Others may decide that the only way to win in this world is to stop playing by the rules completely. Season 3 appears ready to push these characters even further than before, forcing them into situations where their true nature will finally be revealed. And when people are pushed far enough, they often discover parts of themselves they never knew existed. Another thing the Fallout Season 3 trailer quietly hints at is that the wasteland itself might be hiding far more secrets than anyone realized. For a long time, survivors believed that most of the important discoveries from before the Great War had already been found. Old bunkers, abandoned labs, and forgotten vaults have been explored for decades. But Season 3 seems to suggest that some of the most dangerous secrets of the old world might still be buried beneath the ruins, waiting for the wrong person to uncover them. The trailer gives the feeling that certain pieces of pre-war technology are beginning to resurface again. In the Fallout universe, technology from before the bombs is never just simple equipment. It usually comes with hidden consequences. Scientists before the war were experimenting with things that pushed the limits of ethics and control. Many of those projects were never finished, and some were abandoned because they became too dangerous even for the people who created them. If those experiments are rediscovered now, in a world that already lacks stability, the results could be catastrophic. What makes this even more frightening is that the people searching for these secrets are not always the ones who should have that power. In the wasteland, knowledge can be more valuable than weapons. A single blueprint, a hidden database, or an intact piece of advanced machinery could give someone the ability to dominate entire regions. The trailer seems to hint that multiple factions may be chasing the same discoveries, each believing they can use that power to shape the future of the wasteland. But history has already shown that controlling powerful technology rarely ends well. The world before the war collapsed partly because of humanity's obsession with control and progress. Now the survivors of that disaster may be repeating the same mistakes without even realizing it. Season 3 could explore how dangerous it is when people believe they are smart enough to control forces that once destroyed civilization. At the same time, the trailer also suggests that some areas of the wasteland might still contain untouched facilities from the old world. These places are not just ruins. They are time capsules filled with information about what truly happened before the bombs fell. If someone manages to access those locations, they might discover truths that completely change how people understand the past. And in the Fallout universe, the past is never as simple as it first appears. Learning those truths could be both powerful and terrifying. Many people in the wasteland have built their identities around certain beliefs about the old world. They see it as either a lost paradise or a warning about human greed. But if the reality turns out to be more complicated, it could shake the foundations of those beliefs. Discovering that the past was filled with secrets and manipulation might make survivors question whether the future can ever be different. Another interesting possibility hinted at in the trailer is the rise of new leaders in the wasteland. As chaos spreads and powerful discoveries begin to surface, certain individuals may see an opportunity to rise above the rest. Leadership in a world like this doesn't always come from noble intentions. Sometimes it comes from ambition, desperation, or the simple belief that someone must take control before everything falls apart. These new leaders might promise stability, protection, or even a chance to rebuild parts of civilization. But promises in the wasteland are always risky. The same person who claims to be a savior could easily become another